Be successful fishing plastics and different presentations with the plastics. So what I'm going to do, I do have some fishing line that I'm going to be giving out. However, all I ask is that think of one question to ask me. Last one, no one asked a question. I was like, well, what the crap? Okay. So if you ask a question, then you'll get I only have 5. If you ask a question at the end of this, I'll be handing out some fish line, okay? Gotcha. All right, first thing first, we're gonna go over one of my favorite forms of fishing, flipping and pitching the Texas rig. This gets a reaction every time I throw it in this tank. What this is a ALX Icos Thunder rod. It's a 7'3", extra heavy with a moderate fast tip. It's designed for flipping and pitching. You can also use it for deep diving crankbaits, swim baits, stuff like that, because of the moderate fast tip. This has 30-pound ball sacks bass braid on it. I have a Gamakatsu EWG hook and then a regular lead bullet weight. The reel I got paired up, this is a Ardent Apex Elite. It's a 6 to 5 to 1 reel. Has, I want to say, 8 to 16 pounds of drag on it. The way you fish this, you rig it up weedless, go through the tail, come out about a 1/4 inch, then come back through. I ain't gonna flip it because it is a hook, but I'll put it out there in the middle for you. That's a Texas rig. Now you can peg the weight to keep your bait all in one piece, so you can punch grass with it, you can flip it underneath dogs, you can put it right next to some cover, and it'll stay all together. The way I have it, that bait or that weight slides, I use that because I want the bait to fall slower than my weight does. It gives it a little bit of a different action. And I'll show you what it looks like in the tank. The bait I have is a net bait Pack-A-Slim. It's in black and blue. And as you can see how it falls just like that. Like I said, this bait has gotten a reaction every single time I've been on this tank. This is the rig that I fish 90% of the time. I'll use Senkos, I'll use craws, some beaver style baits just like that. And I fish it the same way. I'll cast it out, pitch it out, let it fall near cover, let it sink to the bottom, crawl it across the bottom. And as you can see, let it go. Let it go. All right, come here, you. In the nostril again. And the way to rig it weedless, after you put your hook through, all you do is pinch the plastic and bury the hook. Okay? Any questions on the Texas rig? All right, moving on to the next one. How many of y'all fish Sharon Harris? No one fishes Sharon Harris? Wow. I'm gonna have to show y'all that lake sometime. Sharon Harris, it's a power plant lake. It's here in North Carolina. It, to me, has some of the biggest fish in it. I've caught 8, 9, and 10 pound fish on that lake, bed fishing, sight fishing. This is the bait that I catch those fish on. This is a wobble head. What it is it's a EWG hook on a swivel head football jig. And I'll let you show. This is also the plastic I have on here. This is a net bait Mad Paca and Green Pumpkin. They have a baby Mad Paca, which is a little bit shorter. It's about 4 inches or so. This is a full size one. See if I can get it out there. There you go. What happens with this, and I'll show you in the tank, when you cast this out, it's gonna fall straight down. However, when you keep it where it's at, the current, the wave of the water, it'll actually move that bait just because it's on that swivel head. All right? And I'll show you what it looks like. As you can see how it falls straight down. That's what you want. And then if I can keep it in this current down here. When it falls, you'll see the tails move as it's falling. And then when it stops, it'll stand up for a minute and it'll move. All right. This is an excellent bed fishing bait because you can get it, flip it right out onto their beds and get a reaction strike out of the fish, because they don't want it in their beds. They want to get it out of their, out of their home quick and in a hurry. A lot of people like this too because that action that you get on the fall, you're getting two different kinds of action. You're getting the flappers that are flapping and then the tail that looks like a grub tail. All right, so that's a wobble head. Okay? All right, moving on to some stuff that you probably haven't seen yet. Here's where I'm going to throw out a spool of line. How many of y'all know what a Nico rig is? Not you. What is a Nico rig?
Put a weight in a soft plastic stick bait in the head and wacky rig it.
Catch. All right. Good answer. That's exactly what it is. This is a Nico rig. All right. Nico rig is a wacky style bait. You can use a finesse. You could use a stick bait. I wacky rig it, put a nail weight in the end, and what happens is you see how that one side is weighted down? Let's go fall straight down. When it falls straight down, tighten your line and you can drag it and that bait will stand straight up as you're dragging it across the bottom. Here's how it looks. It'll fall straight down like a torpedo. See how it's falling straight? And then what happens, let me see if I can get it right here. When you get it on the bottom, all you have to do is get your line tight, keep your rod tip down, and just slowly drag it like that. Let it go. Now you can get two different rigs out of this one bait. All you gotta do is take that nail weight out and you can go from a wacky to a Nico, excuse me. When you wacky rig, it's gonna have a lot slower of a fall, and this is all that's in the tail. It's just a nail weight, okay? Come on. Let them see that. When you wacky, you take that weight out, it's gonna fall parallel. See how slow that's falling now? That's a wacky and a Nico rig. See the difference though, how slow it's falling compared to with the nail weight in the one end? Now, Mr. Staley over there, raise your hand. This is one of his favorite weapons in his arsenal. He loves a wacky rig. How many tournaments have you won fishing a wacky? 7. But that one, all you have to do is add a weight to one end and you have two different rigs. A wacky and then a Nico. All right, any questions on that? All right. Here's one that is pretty new. It's been out not that long, or as long as I can remember. Hang on. It's a shaky head with a stick bait, and I got what we call a screw lock with a willow leaf on the end of it. This is really good for me, at least right now. What it resembles is the shad die when it gets cold. When you sink or cast this out and it sinks straight down, that willow blade flutters as it goes down, so it looks like a dying shad as it sinks. And you're still going to get that shaky head appearance. So it's still going to move with the slightest action of the rod tip, like you can see here, when it sinks. But you're going to get the flutter of that blade as it's going down, and then you're going to use it like a shaky head when it's on the bottom. See how it's moving as it sinks? And I immediately got the attention of that bass. He turned around on it. That's what you want. Just move it just like that. Let it go. That's what you want. And all it is, the screw lock part, it's just a screw lock with a barrel swivel and a willow blade attached to it. All right. Pretty cool, huh? How many of y'all seen this rig before? I'll do it one more time so you can see it fall. You can fish this like I'm doing, which is like a vertical jig. Let it go. Now I'm not trying to hook these fish, they're just inhaling it. All right, that's that one. Now I'm gonna move on to my favorite moving bait. When you really want to resemble the shad, this is called moving bait called Illusion Baits Vibra Spin. What it is it's a bladed jig with a willow leaf underspin on it. So you're getting two baits in one again. You can add different trailers to this. You can put like a paddle tail swim bait. What I have on here is a craw. I use craws because I like to mimic fins of fish. This gets dual action on it, so when it comes through the water column, it looks like the fin of the fish. The other cool thing about this, how many of y'all fish Z-Man chatterbaits or any type of bladed jigs? Just you? No one else fishes a chatterbait, huh? There you go, okay, more. The blade on this bait is set back from the nose. If you look at other companies, it'll be connected right on the nose. What this does, when you cast it out, let it hit the bottom, do a quick pop of the rod, and you reel nice slow with your rod tip down, it'll suspend, it'll stay in the water column. The other cool thing too is if you run it right next to brush or next to laydowns, when you hit it, it pops over rather than hit and the hook goes down. The other thing too, when it sinks, when you cast it out and it sinks, it doesn't sink backwards. It'll sink nose down and it'll search as it's going down. All right. You can fish this a couple of different ways. You can fish it if you're shallow, cast it out, rod tip down and burn it to keep it shallow. You can fish it to where you want it suspended in the water column, let it sink, rod tip down, nice slow reel. And as you can see, it'll pull through that cover really well. Or you can fish it deep like on Falls Lake. Let it sink down, like it said, quick rod pop, and keep it down on the bottom. And can you see how it's suspended, how it's not coming straight up? That's how this bait was designed. You want to keep it down as long, keep it in that strike zone as long as you can. Any questions on this?
Who makes that one?
Huh?
Who makes that one?
Illusion Baits.
Okay.
They're out of Lake Park, Georgia. All these baits are handmade, hand-painted. Two people make it. A husband and a wife make all these baits. They are Mustad hooks, and they come with Mustang wire for all the spinner bait ties, and for all the clips is Mustang wire. All right? So that's just some soft plastic presentations. Hopefully I showed you something you ain't seen before. So I need to take this time, hand out some line, and get some questions from y'all. Any questions?